In the word kusala, ku means things that are detestable, contemptible. And sat, there are two meanings of sat. The first one is tanukarana, reducing. Another one is osanakarana, putting them to an end or to eradicate. So in this way, the two meanings of sat are the first one, tanukarana, to reduce, to make it less, and osanakarana, that means to put it to an end or to eradicate. So in this way, the contemptible, detestable, unwholesomeness are reduced and eradicated by kusa. And when we say to reduce, to make it less, if there is lack of mindfulness, the unwholesome state, the detestable and contemptible state will grow and increase if there is lack of mindfulness. So one needs to reduce them so that these contemptible states, these detestable states will become less and less, and also they will become weaker and weaker in strength. So if there is lack of mindfulness, if the mind is going free, then there will be kuccita pāpādhamma. These detestable, contemptible states will be arising without any control. They will be arising by leaps and bounds. So one needs to reduce so that these contemptible, detestable states will become less and less, weaker and weaker in strength, and finally come to an end. So these contemptible or detestable states should be reduced so that one cannot continue to walk on the path of unwholesomeness. So in this way, one should also overcome the factors that can produce these unwholesomeness. So in this way, one should also overcome the factors that can lead to unwholesomeness. So in this way, there will be tanukarana, the detestable, contemptible states will become less and less, and these detestable and contemptible states will occur less and less frequent. So in this way, there will be less and less contemptible, detestable states. So yogi will also realize this through his or her practice, that these unwholesome, detestable, contemptible states are getting less and less, weaker and weaker through practice. So in this way, one is said to be getting rid of these detestable, contemptible states. And Ariya Magga, the noble path knowledge, the supramenting path knowledge, can eradicate these unwholesome, detestable, contemptible states to the point of no return. So kusala, wholesomeness, can make the unwholesome, detestable, contemptible state to become less and less, to become weaker and weaker. And also one can get rid of the factor that will lead to the development of this unwholesome state. And finally, when these detestable and contemptible states become weaker, less and less, weaker and weaker, and finally these contemptible, detestable states will totally be eradicated. So kusa is the knowledge. So kusa, knowledge, can make these detestable, contemptible states become less and less, weaker and weaker in strength, and finally eradicate these contemptible states. So kusa is the name of knowledge. So Sayadaw will explain how knowledge is called kusa practically. So if there is lack of mindfulness, then paṇḍitā, negligence, failure, forgetfulness will be overwhelming. And one will fail to refrain from things that should be refrained. One will be negligent to refrain from misconduct and transgression. If one does not have the knowledge that these misconducts are disgusting, contemptible, then the person is very foolish or stupid. So, if the person is able to refrain from these misconducts, then his or her body, speech and mind will be pure and gentle. So one should have the knowledge that one should refrain from these misconducts which are detestable and contemptible. And one should also have the knowledge that by refraining from these misconducts, one's body, speech and mind will become pure, clean, gentle and lovable. If one does not have such knowledge, then one will be wasting time with committing misconduct and transgression. One will leave his or her mind go freely on these misconducts. There will be negligence, failure, heedlessness. So in this way, the person as well as other people will get hurt. So if there is lack of mindfulness in order to perform things that should be performed, there will not be any benefit. And if the person fails to refrain from these misconduct, his or her body and speech will be rude, gross, burning. So these actions are very detestable and contemptible. That's why these misconduct should be refrained from, so that one's body, speech will be pure, clean. So one should have the knowledge that these misconducts can bring bad consequences, and also good conduct brings benefit. So if one has such knowledge, then one can overcome these unwholesomeness, one can overcome these misconduct and transgression. If one does not have any knowledge of the bad consequences of misconduct and the benefits of good conduct, then the person is sure going to waste his or her time with transgression and misconduct. So, if one can refrain from these misconduct and transgression, there will not be harm. And if one can refrain good conduct, there will be benefit. So that's why it is very essential in order to lessen, in order to weaken the contemptible, detestable state, and one should eradicate them totally. So, if one understands these bad consequences of misconduct, there will be moral shame and moral fear, and one will be refraining from these misconduct. By refraining from these misconduct, one will not meet any harm. His or her body and speech will be pure, clean, gentle, and lovable. And one should also perform things that should be performed. So by performing these things that should be performed, one will benefit and the person will shine with virtue and quality. So that's why it is very important to have the knowledge that is very precious. So Sayadaw give an example. In order to live long, one should eat food and drink. But among the food, there are food that are unsuitable and there are food that are suitable. So if the person can avoid unsuitable or harmful food, one will not meet with any danger or harm. And by taking suitable food, one will have benefit. If one does not know what is suitable, what is harmful, then she will be doing detestable or contemptible action. So, not knowing what food is suitable, what food is harmful, then she will be doing things that are detestable and contemptible. So, in the same way, one should have the knowledge what kind of conduct is harmful and what kind of conduct is beneficial. So, having the knowledge what kind of conduct are beneficial, what kind of conduct are harmful, the person will be able to reduce, the person will be able to lessen the misconduct, and one will be able to eradicate the misconduct and contemptible state. So in this way, if one does not have the knowledge to refrain from misconduct, if one does not know that these misconducts are harmful, then she will be inferior. So that's why it is very important to have the knowledge that misconduct are harmful and disgusting. So if the person has this kind of knowledge, she will be able to reduce or make it less these contemptible states, and finally one can eradicate these disgusting contemptible states. So one can understand how knowledge is very important in order to reduce and eradicate these disgusting and contemptible states. In Pali, it is called kusa. So knowledge is called kusa because knowledge can reduce and eradicate these disgusting and contemptible states. So to explain from the basic, Sayadaw explains about Kammassakata jnana. Kammassakata jnana means the kind of knowledge that one has one's own deed as possession. So if one does bad deeds, he/she will have bad consequences as a result, and by doing good deeds, he/she will get good results. So there is nobody who is creating good and bad, but there is nobody who is creating good and bad results, but it is one's own deed, one's own action that is producing good or bad results. So that's why it is said that one has one's own deed or action as one's possession. If one performs kind of action that is pure and clean, one will have good benefit. If one performs bad deeds, there will be bad results. So in the example, if a person takes nutritious, suitable food, then in his or her body there will be new, fresh materiality arising in his or her body due to the nutritious food. So in the same way, when the person does good deeds which are pure and clean, then he/she will have good results. So if the person takes poisonous food, then the person will break down right away. So it is the poisonous food that is making the person to break down. In the same way, when the person performs bad deeds, he/she will get bad consequences as a result of bad volition. So these good and bad results are created by one's own deeds. So the knowledge that one has one's own deed as possession is called Kammassakata jnana, or another way it is also called Sammaditthi. So having this Kammassakata jnana or Sammaditthi, one understands that wholesome deeds will bring good results and unwholesome deeds will bring bad results. So this kind of knowledge is essential for each and every one. And this knowledge can be called the light of the world. Or another word, it can also be called light of the samsara. Even though the light may go off in some part of the world, but in other part of the world, the light of the the light of the world will still be on. So that's why it is called this Kammassakata Sammaditthi. It's just like the light of the world or light of the samsara. So in the world there are 4 major beliefs. So in the Buddhism belief and Hinduism belief, there is this knowledge that good deeds will bring good results and bad deeds will bring bad results. So in Buddhism, we believe in the teaching of the Buddha that good deeds bring good results and bad deeds bring bad results. And knowing the unwholesome as unwholesome there will be moral shame and moral fear from this unwholesomeness, so that one will be weakening and eradicating this unwholesomeness. And also, we believe that wholesome deeds are wholesome. So in this way, one can accumulate these wholesome deeds. We do not accept the belief of Creator or the Brahma creating good and bad results. But in Hinduism, they believe on the Dhamma. They believe that good deeds bring good results and bad deeds bring bad results. But at the same time, they are also accepting the view that Brahma is creating these good and bad results. So this Hinduism, they have this dual belief of karma and also creation by the Brahma. So in this way, they have this dual belief, two beliefs at the same time, which are counter to each other. But the other kinds of belief, they solely believe in the Creator who is creating good and bad results. So this is the essence of the four kinds of belief, how the essence are different among these four kinds of beliefs.
So, if one does not know that by performing things that should be performed, one can get benefit. So if one does not have this kind of knowledge, then it will be detestable, contemptible. And not having this knowledge, one will be committing misconduct and transgression, and again, it will further lead to contemptible action. So based on lack of knowledge, one will follow the wrong path. So based on this not knowing, based on lack of knowledge, one will be following this wrong path, and one will not get any benefit, but there will only be harm. So in this way, his or her action will become detestable and contemptible. Having the knowledge that good deeds bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results, having this knowledge, one can reduce or eradicate these unwholesomeness. For example, if one is doing dana, this dana is helping others so that others will not be needy. So performing dana is for others' benefit. It is not for one's own benefit. So if the person is able to do the dana for the benefit of others without expecting personal gain, then it will be associating with metta, loving kindness, the wish for the welfare of others. So giving up one's possession in order to do dana, then one is developing patience, forgiveness, sacrifice, having compassion that others will be suffering if they are needy. So in this way, one is also said to be developing karuna, compassion. So having done this dana for the welfare of others, with the knowledge, associating with knowledge, he, she can overcome selfishness, one will have metta, the wish for the welfare of others. So in this way, knowledge could remove the unwholesomeness of selfishness and so on. So doing dana without wanting the fame as a great donor, and if one only aims for the freedom from the suffering of assistance, so having this good aim and objective of being free from the suffering of assistance, this dana will be great. And wanting to share one's belongings with others, one will be overcoming stinginess, the kind of stinginess, not wanting to bear to share one's belongings with others. So this stinginess is also overcome with knowledge. And having knowledge, one can also abandon the kind of ignorance, not knowing that good things bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results. So in this way, knowledge can weaken or remove the ignorance. So, gu is the detestable, contemptible thing, and if one can develop metta towards others, not expecting personal gain, performing dana with pure volition, the person is said to be weakening, eradicating unwholesomeness with the performance of dana. So it is just explaining how Kammassakata Sammaditthi can weaken and remove, eradicate the detestable, contemptible, unwholesome state. So there are also other kind of knowledge that can remove, that can eradicate the contemptible, detestable kind of unwholesomeness. So the kind of dana with good aim and objective could be obtained by Kammassakata Sammaditthi. So la means to be obtained, to be possessed as one's own belonging. So to be obtained means not just to grab and pull it away, but it is in the way of to be obtained as one's own possession. So in order to perform dana, the kind of dana that can overcome, that can remove the unwholesome states of hatred, cruelty, selfishness, stinginess. So the kind of dana that can remove these unwholesome states should be obtained. So it means that one should perform the dana so that dana which can overcome these states of cruelty, stinginess will be developed in the person. So in this way, la means to be obtained, to be performed, to be obtained in a way that one will possess. So in this way, combining two words, kusa and la, makes the word kusala. So in order to reduce and uproot and eradicate these misconduct which are detestable and contemptible, one needs knowledge. Having knowledge, one can remove and eradicate these misconduct. So by knowledge, one can uproot and eradicate these misconduct, transgression, and also one can overcome the obsessive form of defilement that manifests in the mind. And in order to weaken these defilements, one should have Vipassana, kusala. One should have inside knowledge in order to overcome the detestable, disgusting state. And by gaining the path knowledge, one can eradicate these defilements to the point of no return. So in order to practice sila, morality, in order to practice samatha, concentration, in order to practice vipassana, one needs knowledge in order to practice, so that one can eradicate and remove these detestable, contemptible states with knowledge. So having knowledge, one can practice so that there will be kusala. So one should have Kammassakata Sammaditthi. So one should have the knowledge that one has one's own deed as possession. So this Kammassakata Ditti is just like a junction. From that junction, the person can make his or her choice, which road to be followed. So if the person wants to live in happiness, comfort, and well-being, they can choose to walk on the Kamma path. So this Kamma path could be followed from this junction of Kammassakata Sammaditthi. If the person wants to follow the path to become a high-class yogi also, you can follow this road from the junction. And if the person wants to follow the jhana path, the path leading to absorption, then she can follow that path from this junction of Kammassakata Sammaditthi. And if the person chooses to follow the path in order to free himself, herself from the suffering, she could walk on this Vimutti path, the path to deliverance from this junction. So in this way, from the junction of Kammassakata Sammaditthi, the person can have his or her choice which way she wants to go. If the person wants to be just living in happiness, well-being and comfort, she can choose to do wholesomeness such as dana and sila. If the person chooses to have long span of life, then she can follow the path to become a Brahma. And if the person wants to be free from the suffering of old age, disease and death, then the person can follow the path of Vimutti so that she can get liberation. So in order to get liberation from the suffering, one can follow Satipatthana path from the junction. So that's why it is said that Kammassakata Sammaditthi, the knowledge, understanding that one has one's own deeds as possession. So this knowledge is very important for each and every one. Having Kammassakata Sammaditthi, one can overcome the ignorance, not knowing the results of the karma, good and bad deeds. So having this Kammassakata Sammaditthi, one will be able to practice dana sila, and also one can reduce and remove the contemptible, detestable states with knowledge. So that's why it is said that knowledge is very important for each and every one. So having knowledge, which is called kusa, as investment, one can pursue wholesome deeds such as practicing dana, sila, and also bhavana, mental development practice. So in this way, having knowledge as investment, one can go on to practice high-class wholesome deeds. So one should be very rejoicing that one has this opportunity to practice the high-class practice, having knowledge as one's own investment. So in this way, may you be able to obtain the high-class wholesomeness by being mindful every single second. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.